So now let's go ahead and install these LED bulbs. My girlfriend has these in her Mercedes, and they're pretty bright. I really like them, so let's go ahead and install these ones on my G-Wagon. To do so, it's pretty easy. There's 2 screws right there that hold this panel in. All you gotta do is just take them out, and then the panel pops off. And the actual headlight is held in by 3 screws. You can kind of see one right there, and there should be one on the bottom. So usually to get to the headlights on these things, you're supposed to use a special tool behind this brush guard that lowers this down. But I don't seem to have one, and the way to take this out is loosening up the screw right there, and one right there. But this one's seized up, I'm pretty sure, and it's pretty rusty, so I'm going to take care of this later on. But I managed to push this back and get the cover off this way. And it looks like the washer fluid hose for the headlights is busted, so I have to replace that. But here are the 3 screws I was telling you about. One right there, and right there to get the headlight out. Alright, so a little update before I continue with the headlights. Pretty much scratch everything I did before with the headlights. I actually purchased the wrong ones. The ones that I purchased the first time were these ones, and these are incorrect. Pretty much these ones fit the old style headlights, but mine are facelifted, so they require these ones, which are from G500, I believe, and these ones are 9003/H4/HB2. So these ones are the correct ones. I've also received little city daytime running lights that go below the actual high and low beam lights, and these clear sticky things that go on the rain sensor, because mine are falling off and it's just dangling, so I'm going to repair that as well. And finally, after waiting for almost a month, I received my little side markers. This time around I got them in silver, but whenever I wrap the car black, I'm going to get them blacked out so they're hidden away. And these are LED ones as well, so they come with the CAN bus, whatever you call these, I don't know. But pretty much got to plug these in so that way these actually work properly. And I've also purchased some mirrors, like I've mentioned before. Instead of getting the other ones painted, I just decided to get some new ones that are already black to save me the hassle of having to take it to the paint shop and, you know, deal with the usual runaround that the paint shops usually give me. So these are brand new, they're already black, and the black is kind of sparkly, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever, it's not a big deal. So I'll be going ahead and installing these today as well. And unfortunately, a lot of the wires that the car has, like on the headlights and markers and stuff, are all corroded. So I'm gonna have to go through and actually use like vinegar and stuff to clean all that off before I finally install all these lights, just because they're very finicky because of the rust. So as I'm installing the side markers, I have to take off the taillights to get to them, to push them through the hole right there. Well, the previous owners, or whoever installed these taillights, is an absolute idiot because they didn't install the gasket that goes around the taillight. So, of course, there's a pool of water inside that was actually up to here, but I blew some of it away. So now I gotta source the gasket that goes around the taillight, which is almost impossible to find, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. So just to show you guys the difference between the headlights, these are the LED ones, and these are their regular ones. Also, for some reason, these don't work. I have not figured out why. And I did try replacing this one right here with an LED one, which did say it was error-free, but it was actually flickering, so I have to put in the old one. I'm gonna try to find the normal one that's white. It matches this white. But here's what it looks like without the cover on. I'm a little confused why this was done so shitty. I really want to know who did this, because now I have to sand all this down and, you know, seal it so it doesn't continue rusting. Yeah. And there's also stuff like this as well. I mean, look at that. That's how water gets in and rust starts. And that's what the car looks like with the LED side markers. This one's red, but the front one's orange. I did try installing my new LED license plate lights, but for some reason the one on this side kept flickering, but on this side is perfectly fine. I did swap them and the issue is still the same. And my reverse lights also don't work, so I'm gonna have to get some new LED ones and make up new wiring, because the wiring on this side is completely torn and corroded. And trying to find new gaskets for the taillights is nearly impossible. I found one, but the price was kind of ridiculous, so I'm gonna try to find some new rear lights and swap the gaskets from those ones onto these ones. Details matter. I mean, look at this. And also the way this was attached was with this screw right here. This screw. It was going all the way through the body, through a hole that wasn't attached to anything, which makes zero sense at all. But on this side, some retard put the screw through the body right here. So I'm gonna have to unscrew this and actually fix it and do it the proper way. So if we backtrack, I'm sure you guys remember that I was trying to find some gaskets for my rear taillights, which I did find one on eBay, but it was like 40 or 50 bucks, and it was only one. That was the only one I could find. So pretty much what I had to do was buy a whole new set of taillights just to take off the gasket from the back and transfer it to my old taillights. And after that, I'm going back to the headlights and replacing one of the wires for the side blinkers, or the side markers. These things right here adjust the actual headlight, which mine are broken. Got new daytime running lights, city lights, whatever you want to call them, because the previous ones, they were LED and they were flickering a lot. And some shrink wrap and some connectors to put this all together. I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again. Some people do not deserve these type of cars. They jerry rig everything, they install cheap ass parts, and they make the car look like shit. So maybe some of you should start out with like Miatas or Honda Civics and ruin those cars, but leave those cars alone. Up next, I'm going to replace this piece right here that goes on the spare tire cover. Because this is what it had before. Not sure why exactly. Well, there's the results. The thing itself I thought was much thicker, but it's actually very, very thin. So in the future, I might get rid of it and get something like OEM. The cover was actually facing the other way, this way, so I had to fix it. So the star is facing the correct way now. Yes, let's use self-tappers instead of actual hardware to mount the mirror. And it was only one screw instead of 3. Lazy people. Got the new mirrors installed. The finish is amazing. They look much better. They're a little dusty right now just because the car's been sitting, but I prefer this black over the fake carbon fiber. The only thing I couldn't figure out, there's an extra wire in there that can pretty much fold the mirrors, but I have to like wire it in the system, in the door. Like there's like a PCM or ECU, whatever you want to call it. But I didn't really want to mess with it. I just wanted these on ASAP. So I might mess with it some other time. Alright, I think you guys are due for an update. I was going to record a video about me replacing valve cover gaskets and the PCV valves over there and stuff, but there's already a few videos out there that explain it pretty well. So I don't really feel like making another video about the same thing. And plus it would have taken me a lot longer to do this with me having to record and explain stuff. So these are the valve covers. Before they were really disgusting. The whole entire thing looked like that. And it was kind of hard to see because it's dark in here, but that's what it looked like. But I took a little wire wheel, the plastic one, and I cleaned it up a little bit. Doing actual valve covers was really difficult, so I just half-assed it and sped through it, but doing this one and the other smaller piece was pretty easy. And of course, when I was taking off the What the fuck? Where's this buff? And of course, when I was taking off the coil packs and the coil wires and stuff, some of them torn off, which I kind of expected because the same thing happened to a girlfriend's Mercedes one time. So I had to go to the Mercedes dealership and pick one up for like $70, which is ridiculous. But the spark plugs also did not look very good at all. So I went ahead and ordered some new ones. And new coils as well. Which I'm going to keep those for just a bit and see if anybody wants to buy them for super cheap. So just waiting on that to come in. As soon as that comes in, I can actually put the whole car back together, start up, get it warm, and then do an oil change with some 5W40 local moly and a good old man filter. So besides that, I was doing a whole bunch of other things. Like I said earlier, I replaced a bunch of the hoses down there. These two are also new. They come with a kit that I ordered. And it comes with a new one over on this side as well. Currently, I have the valve cover area covered off so no dust, dirt gets in there while I do other things. For example, so if you guys ever suddenly feel cold or hot air come from the outside and blows on your feet constantly, especially during the summer, most likely this boot is torn on the steering shaft. It goes from here and in there. Let's see. So you guys can see better. So it disconnects from right there and it goes in that hole right there. It goes right there where the shaft is sticking out of the big hole. So, and to get it off, it's pretty easy. All you gotta do is just take off one bolt right here and tap it to the driver's side this way, and this should slide out. Just make sure you mark it just in case. I marked mine right here. And then this should slide right in. And make sure your steering wheel is locked. But yeah, as soon as I install the gasket for the firewall, I'm going to make a gasket for these and then install the valve covers. Another issue that I had was the actual steering shaft. It was pretty wobbly and loose, so the steering wheel would wobble like this until it actually put any input into the wheels. Pretty much I ended up taking out the wheel well, and in the actual steering box down there, there's an adjustment that you can make to pretty much back off the nut and tighten it some more. It's right behind this hole, but it's way easier to take off a few little bolts to take this whole entire thing off to get to it. I did a little adjustment. I noticed zero difference. That was me personally. So, according to a lot of people, it's normal for these trucks to have a little bit of play in the steering wheel. But in my opinion, I think it's kind of stupid just because when you're getting it aligned, what are the chances of you aligning it straight, you know? So yeah. I also ended up greasing my ball bearings, or whatever you want to call them. This whole entire area was caked with dust and grease. I don't know how well you can see it, but there wasn't too much grease in there, so I bought a grease gun and I opened up this little plug and pumped a bunch of grease in there until it came out. So we'll see how that's holding up, and hopefully it's not leaking in my new wheels that are getting powder coated right now. And I also did do a little bit of painting in some areas. There was some surface rust that was building up over here. Some over there as well. And majority of it was in the back. The back wasn't really looking too great either, but that's very typical of these trucks. And also I am wanting to remove this red from the calipers just because it's hideous. I might pop off the fronts and get them powder coated eventually, maybe after winter. I did also order some new trim for my vents because mine are all cracked and destroyed. Like this one I can literally pull off. It's not even mounted really. There we go. Those ones are correct, and that one's pretty bad too over there. And I never gave you guys an update about the valve covers, but here they are installed. I've had them on for about a month or so, and there's no leaks, luckily. And there's the new coil packs, new spark plugs, and the wires for the coil packs. One mistake I made, I took out all the coils and stuff, and I never organized them, and I never kept the wires. I just threw them all away. Pretty much all those coils are different length for a specific hole and specific coil pack. So pretty much you have to match them up when you get the replacement ones and then put them in. But there's a nice gentleman online on some forum that posted up an actual like graph that he drew up of how they're supposed to go in and in which order and what length. That right there saved my life. But yeah. And I don't know if you can see too well, but right there is the new boot that I installed. So no more water is leaking inside the cabin. Another thing that causes water leaks is right here. This bolt was pretty loose for the wiper, so I took this off and I tightened it because mine were pretty loose and was causing the water to pull up right there and get inside the cabin too.